and shame, our favorite emotion, shame. Oh, I've done so much work with shame. Um, I've just had such a sense of um, being on such holy ground, reading your posts and your responses. I I'm in a new pattern of responding, so I haven't been responding in the post to everybody. Um, but I feel my heart responding, even if it has been in silence. And yeah, just such a sense of holy ground. So thank you for that opportunity, for making that holy ground um, together. So today, our flow is going to be the same. And uh, I'm just going to make one modification, which is after our time of silence, I'm just going to invite you to, if you would like, to give voice to a word or a phrase of the emotions that you are present to in this day. You can put it in the chat, but I won't be calling on each person. I'll just, if you would like to, you're welcome to. But you don't, just whatever feels good and right to you. And we'll just leave a couple of minutes to do that, and then we'll move into our breakouts. All right, so together, my emotions companions, we light this Christ candle. As a sign, as a symbol, as a declaration of faith that indeed there is a light, that the darkness, no matter what form it takes, no matter what time it took its form, a light that the darkness has not overcome, a light that invites us into the light. All of us are full humans. So I do invite you to take a deep and slow breath of this light. And as you exhale, to allow yourself to settle into a comfortable and supported position. And to let your attention go to the solidness of the floor, the sensation underneath your feet, of the solid floor, the sensation around your body of being securely held by your chair. And to gently notice what it's like to be solidly supported and securely held. And now go ahead and allow your breath to deepen all the way down into your body, into your gut, down through your legs, through your feet, and into the ground. And perhaps to imagine your breath being rooted and grounded in the love of Christ, and solid and real as that sensation under your feet. Rooted and grounded in the love of Christ. Now gently allow your attention to expand and to simply be aware that you are planted not alone, but you are planted in a forest. You're planted in a group of emotions companions. Together, rooted and grounded in the love of Christ. And now notice what emotions have been your companions this day that stand out to you. Now, if you would like to give voice with a word or a phrase of those of who those emotion companions have been this day, you're welcome to simply unmute yourself and speak that, or to place it in the chat, or to simply hold it in silence.
Giving love to shame.
Surprised.
Gracious God, we give you thanks for all these emotions expressed verbally, in writing, held in silence. We thank you that you have made us and that you delighted and you delight in our making. We thank you for this space to enter your delight in who you have made us. And now, as we continue in our time together, we ask for your help to tend to what you would have us be attentive to enter the conversations with our hearts listening. Thank you. Amen. All right, folks. So thank you. If you didn't have your chat up, there's some beautiful expressions in the chat. Okay, so we'll do the same thing we did last time, moving into our breakout rooms. I would ask that somebody would just volunteer to facilitate, somebody that hasn't done it before in your group. Oops. So that, and I was trying to post the prompts into the chat, and somehow I'm in the, let's see. There you go. Yay, I figured it out. Technology. So I'm so proud of myself. Okay, so if somebody would just step forward and facilitate, and the prompts are there, so if someone from each group could just copy that so that you can paste it into the chat in your room, that would be great. Let's see. I think that's it. And then, just if you could end your time with just some reflection of, is there something about shame that your group would like to bring to the larger group? Either curiosity, some reflection to something you've noticed. Yeah. So, any questions?
When do we return?
Yes. So thank you, Jerry. So it's 5:16. So yay, we have a little more time in our breakout. So we'll return in, say, 25 minutes. So that would be like a little bit before the 40 minute mark. But so my time zone is like 5:17 right now. So a little bit before 5:40. Right about, let's just say 5:40. Yeah, let's just make it simple. So or 5:40, 8:40, whatever time it is for you. Okay? And just kind of divide up the time. Any other questions? All right. Check, would you open the rooms?
Okay. Hey, Joe, I missed you last week.
Yes. unanimously all very thankful for the space that we share. And dealing with the invitation of these feelings, emotions, still finding our way through them. Some, especially like shame and guilt, a little bit mixed. Yeah, the readings, the grounding practices, and the forums all help very much. I just pick a few points that our group shared. One surprise that was shared was the motivation to befriend our shame, not just for ourselves and our relationship, but it's a powerful motivation to be able to love others better. So taking out of this into out, which I thought was so beautiful. And an occasion in spiritual direction session, a difficult one to help address shame in an Asian context, especially. How do we take it to us? How do we admit it to ourselves and bring it to God? There's so many barriers to gently work through. Courage to face and to admit to ourselves and to apologize. And the third one, to then bring into integrity and wholeness. So it's kind of a pattern that, we are walking. The surprise that shame caused distance, whole isolation, choice to be so neutral and so away from the cause of the shame. So we find ourselves in a pattern of being cold and distant. And that was a surprise that, and this is what's happened to me, and to even think back to where it came from. And I think finally, difficult by reading people's forums, they're very motivating, very encouraging, and yet very heavy to read, and while being empathetic in the process, to take the process into ourselves. There's that struggle of is it resistance? But it's a lot of work. I think it's just work in process in a very sacred space. And so my question myself was what's my own blocks to go further? Well, this is a very safe space. But on the whole, we are all very grateful for this spirit-filled opportunity for healing and wholeness. If my group members want to jump in and say something, please do. Or I'll just stop here. Thanks.
Thank you, Jacinta. Anybody else from that group? You're welcome to put it in the chat as well. Yeah, I mean, there has been all the forums every week have been quite full, and yeah, there is a kind of an extra kind of heaviness and sacredness in this week's forum. And I really hear your naming, your group's naming of just the challenge, especially in an Asian context. Maybe it's not harder, but it's maybe different. And the desire to press forward for not only your sake, but for the sake of others. Yeah. And just how few spaces there are to do this kind of work, to name it, to talk about it, to begin to explore some possible ways to respond. Yeah, so thank you so much. The group with Tech and Jerry and Joe and Chu and Mark and Malia.
I can get us started. I facilitated our time. Some of the things that I noticed, even before any of us spoke, the vulnerability our group had displayed with one another, which was very striking to me, because the effect of shame can cause us to hide from one another. And so to have a space to show up and tell our stories and speak of things that are hard things for us in that context. And our sharing had that quality in our time together just now. There was mention that this is hard work, and that really exploring all that we could have explored this week in any individual case required enough, so much of us that even finishing everything was difficult. Just being not just the volume of engagement that was requested for us, but just the energy to work through this. It was a demanding time for us. It was meaningful, the opportunity to explore these things and to go back, in some cases, many years, to a point that still was important and active today in our lives. This question of contracts and needing to evaluate existing contracts and determine whether they should still be, or if they should still or not, and if they should still be, if they needed to be revisited and revised. Yeah, these were a few things that I was hearing as I was listening. Others from my group that would have something to add, please feel free. I know there was more.
Quickly, I was aware that there are so many faces of shame. And from what we presented, it seemed that for some of us, shame came forward at this point in just being shamed about who we are or are not, physically or internally. And then other forms of shame are just our desire to love the people that are around us and recognizing that they see something in us that is not pleasing to them. And so just like anger is brought about when we care about something, shame is intensified if it is underlined, or so it seemed to our group. If people that we love point out something, that is far more hurtful than if a stranger does. And those were, and then, so it really kind of was like behavior, other people seeing things in us. Are we seeing those things in ourselves? And like Mark said, it's actually a beautiful emotion that allows us to have this friend that helps us to evaluate what is significant and important to us on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think as we move through the emotions, we will see that what is important to us, what matters to us, is really at the heart of it all. Because, like, if somebody, anger and shame come forward because there's something important at stake. When we get to the fear family next week, we're only afraid of things that might take something from us, or that we don't get something that is important to us to have. And then the following week, the sadness family, it's about loss. That we only feel sad about things that we have, that we lose because they're important to us. So it really comes, all of these emotions really come back to pointing us to just what is it that's important to us? What do we value? And that's why we're taking like a full week. We took a full week with anger. We took a full week with shame, rather than putting the anger family all together in 1 week, because these are, like, without these two emotions, the other ones are harder to navigate. Yeah. So thank you. And also just this practice of the posting, of the telling of the story. I mean, that is it's challenging a habit that that most of us have learned with shame, that it is to hide. And it's to protect, and the hiding is not necessarily a bad, it's not bad. And, as a child, that may have been the main thing we could do to be able to preserve a relationship, because then that person that's important to us would perceive us a certain way, would perceive that we were the same as they were, that we had the same value, or we were agreeing to the same behavior. And these relationships were important, and they actually critical to our survival as children. And so now to be actually speaking it's like pushing against something that's like a huge norm of how to relate to this emotion of shame, because most of us have learned shame by being shamed, not the healthy shame. So let's go on to the next group: Astudi, Estella, Olga, Renata, Sue.
Yeah, I'll share for the group. So I think our group felt resonated with how shame is such a messy emotion to deal with. And I guess most of us have experienced really painful and negative experiences of that, and have found it to be so isolating, and how it's eaten into so much of who we authentically are or becoming. I think we felt that we needed more than 1 week to work with this emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think many of us shared how it was helpful for us to think about burning or renegotiating our contracts. And perhaps it's because, perhaps something was helpful at one stage of life, but now we've changed, or the situation has changed, or we've realized some things are not workable. And so it's been so helpful for us to begin reflecting on how we actually need to possibly renegotiate many of the contracts that we've made internally or unconsciously even. I think unconscious is a major theme in our sharing because so much of it is bringing to awareness what has been lying below the surface. Because it's been one of these emotions we try to push down. So yeah, it's been so so encouraging and just so enlightening to hear each other's sharing. So thank you for this time.
Thank you. Anybody from that group want to add anything? Yeah, so that bringing to consciousness how much has been agreed to that we couldn't even articulate. Like most of my life could not have articulated being a good girl means being an obedient girl, which means always not listening to myself, but listening to somebody else. That's the way that cultural formation happens. It's largely unconscious group formation, norms. And that's why we began the first week with trying to begin to just bring to consciousness some of that, that we just seeped into us. So that's normal in how groups function, all kinds of groups. And then we have a lot of groups that you're part of, and they have overlapping contracts, like all the church, school, community, family. They all kind of agree, like good girls are obedient girls, and that's an even more deeply embedded unconscious contract because so many people agree that that's just how reality is. So yeah, this work of bringing to awareness, the action of burning or renegotiating contract is actually calling on our anger. It's calling on our anger to say, hey, what is it that I value? And what is it I want to agree to? That I have the strength and I have the agency and I have this design by God that I want to respond to. So we are actually leaning into our anger to help us do that work of contract, burning and renegotiating. A couple of you mentioned already groups of loneliness. Yeah, because when we're separated from ourselves, that is the most fundamental loneliness. Is that there's not a real self, to be in intimate, significant relationship with another is almost impossible. So this shame work, the anger work, so that we can truly be in relationship, meaningful relationship is so significant. Yeah, and we could take many more weeks on this. Yeah, for sure. Okay, our last group: Agnes, Grace, Heather, Kim, and Ray.
I will summarize our sharing for the group. We really love our group. We felt really heard and seen, and that we were able to share as deeply as we felt drawn to do. And we felt that our members accompanied us through the writing, and we're really grateful for that. I think one of the things that we learned was that we really want to grow in being able to own our mistakes, own our errors, whatever, and to be able to apologize and to grow from that. And also that we want to be able to look at our contracts and to be able to take time in the coming weeks or months to continue to review that and continue to burn those contracts. Although a couple of us have been doing that through the years, and it was really such a to be able to hear how people do it gives us courage too. And during this time, this week, some of us were able to also burn some other contracts, and it has been a very fruitful week for us. One of the things that surprised to be able to see that shame needs loving. That's such a powerful way of putting embracing shame, that it needs loving, that it needs some hugs from us so that we can engage with shame in a way that doesn't separate us from others, but to be able to engage and come to that place of knowing where the shame comes from and to continue the work that we have been doing. I think overall, we're just thankful for this week to be able to examine our shame. And even if it was heavy, we felt that we were not alone, but that the group was able to hold us, to walk with us, to affirm us, to be there for us in this journey. Is it, the rest of you, would you like to add what I've missed out?
Thank you so much. That's such an evocative statement of that our shame needs our love, that our shame needs a hug from us. I have noticed in my emotions journey that, like, one of my hated emotions is panic, and that as I have been able to name the gifts it brings and acknowledge it is just really on about protecting my life, that is its job, and to say thank you for this really being on the job trying to protect me, that I have noticed it kind of, I almost hear it taking a sigh, like it is not having to force its way into my life as much. So anyway, that's yeah, giving our shame a hug. Yeah, many of us are in, have trained to be spiritual directors. Others of us, maybe not that in particular, but are in ministries, professions where we are accompanying others. And man, shame is just everywhere. And what we experience this week as we try to come present to it, to work with that, we simply reflect the human community, and that we not only are more capable of connecting with ourselves and others and God, but that we then become companions that are more able to accompany others in doing their own work, of being able to really work with, learn how to love and embrace this emotion, and then to be more connected with themselves, others, and God. So I just want to cheer you on, and I'd like to close with this blessing. My emotions, companions, as we continue on our journey to love God, ourselves, and our neighbors with our whole human selves. I bless you with shame and guilt, restoring integrity and its gifts of atonement, integrity, conscience, self-respect, and behavioral change. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you all, and on to the Fear family next week.
Are you going